All right, folks, we're back here for episode 3, season 2 of BMF. And this episode title is Devil's Night. A lot to cover tonight. Lucas and I doing what we do best, bringing you that recap review after the conclusion of each episode weekly. Now, I think the biggest thing I got from this episode is again, if you watch the documentary, especially like the first 2 episodes, which was just nuts, because as we said in our reviews of the documentaries, there was going to be a lot of like trying to point to who's who. And you know, and then this season you're just like, well, who's K9? Is that a real character? K9's dog. And then obviously you start to say like, well, who's Lamar? Is this a made-up character? Is this a combination of characters? There's been a lot of different things with that, but all that getting nipped in the bud tonight, because definitively Lamar crazy self is the portrayal of also his crazy self in Leighton, because of Lamar and his drive-by at the hot dog at the glizzy spot was the same thing Leighton did in episode 1, and which was basically, you know, they added some fluff to it in this one, because then it was just Rolly and Meech, and Meech was basically saying he was tired of running from him and da. The cops had nothing to do with anything. It was just Meech just out on the block, tired of running from Leighton. Leighton caught him on
at a convenience store.
Yeah, at the glizzy spot. And then and he pushed Rolly out the car. He took the shot, and that was what it was. But Lamar didn't. I mean, Lamar shot him, but like if you look at the documentary, like Leighton was dumping into Meech. I mean, he had the big revolver or Desert Eagle. He had one of them joints. He had that dog out the joint, and he was dumping
the dirty hurry jump.
So you know, it's going to be interesting in seeing. For one thing, that means we still got a lot more Leighton slash Lamar to really be in the story if we're going to talk about the things that happen in the documentary. But overall, an insane episode. If you've never heard of Devil's Night, also talked about in the documentary to some extent. You see just as we got a little bit of history of it and the significance of this night. And the history of this night in the beginning of this. But a lot of things to talk about. Lucas, what you thought about tonight's episode, man?
Oh, man. One, Devil's Night. I thought immediately of D12 because that's the name of their album, and this is Detroit. So it makes the correlation. I was like, oh, okay. Gotcha. Mischief Night. I know what that is. The night before Halloween where you cause all the shit. I think it's just a... this was an episode that just, again, shows the brothers together when they need each other the most. After what happened with Terry, as the situation he put himself in, who's the first person he calls to help? Meech. Here we get the end where it finally connects, I think, some things for certain people about who are certain characters, especially if you saw the documentary and you see this scene of Meech getting shot, and you know that's literally the thing that happened in the doc that they talk about at a convenience store that he got shot. Love the correlation of that. I love the scene with Russell and Snoop in this episode. I've said, man, I've never punched a man of the cloth before in his face, but you got one more time. Like, again, this was an episode where a lot of the relationships got ironed out onto what they're going to be. Yeah. We see the thing with Terry and Markeisha, Meech and Terry. Terry's girlfriend, who no longer exists in this world. Just the love of family and everything of that nature. I think this is the one that sets you up to let you know how we're going to move forward with newer characters and the impact of certain characters. We even got a little bit of K9 and wondering, did the guy actually do what he said do, or did he want to kill a guy because he was screwing his girl? And his girl giving an insight of the way she did in this episode. So again, it pointed us in a lot of directions of a lot of these characters, and I think it is to get them out the way, because once you get them fully established, then you get the introduction of the other characters that are going to come this season. So here we get it like baseline with a lot of them of what they're going to do, how they're going to act, maybe even some clarity on some people. Detective Brian's new partner, we really get clarity on her in this episode. Like this is one of those type of episodes where it's like, okay, we're going to line everything up. to line you up for the explosiveness that normally is between episodes 4 and 5 of these series.
Yeah, Kelly Hu, man. Really didn't see this character going in this direction, but it's a lot.
Saving black folk.
Yeah,
multiple black folk.
She yeah, we'll get to her in a second. I definitely got some things I want to talk about, but yeah, you know, with the backdrop of Devil's Night, you know, the sort of heightened crime and unpredictability of the city, destruction and terror within the city. You know, this is why so many different random things are happening here. And this isn't something that just, you know, you're thinking like somebody getting shot there, houses and properties being burnt there. Vandalism, all these sorts of different things. Somebody running around with a Molotov cocktail, you know, it's just some normal shit out here, you know. But I think this episode was fantastic. A lot of things I want to cover. So I think we should get into it. But I do want to point back to last week when I told you that, like, hey, you know, that brothers fight, and even though they were beefing for a whole episode, it's just what they're doing. Meech said it straight up. We fight and argue our entire life, but I love y'all too. I got y'all back forever. That's just what it is. I was like, yeah, squash all that. And Terry was like, yeah, respect. And on to the next, you know?
Hey, man, more power to them. Wish I could say the same. You know, I'm running up on you, Joe. I'm treat you like a brother on the street.
But we go back to young Terry and young Terry and young Meech in the early nights of the Devil's Night, and Charles was out on the street posting signs, you know, being an activist for his city, letting folks say we need to stop tearing down our own city, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then we actually do get a little bit of stock footage of the history of Detroit. I'm actually really interested in seeing a lot more of this. I'm sure there's a good documentary. If y'all seen some, definitely put it in the comments. I'm definitely interested in this because I think that, and I can't think of a good comparison that's not going to be like in bad taste, because a couple of things jumped out at me. It's like, oh, don't say that, don't say that. But I think that I think there's a lot of emphasis on the Rodney King beating and ruling, and you know and
the riots
Cali,
that happened after things of this nature,
right?
Yeah,
and we don't hear a lot of the history of Detroit in this. We've also had these sorts of different things in DC in our history, which you know, talks a lot about DC and when DC was truly Chocolate City, and how this really did get a lot of people out of there. That's why, if everybody know the DMV area, that's why there's so many people out in the DMV area, because a lot of these things pushed a lot of black people in our businesses out of DC. And because there's a lot of because there is sort of an educational curve to the state of Detroit while all this is happening, you know, hearing this makes me more curious now, because while we are focusing on the drug game and now we see the parents and trying to live an honest life, I'm definitely still wanting to know a lot more what other people's day-to-days were, and how these nights, which is basically the purge, how these nights completely change not just individual households, but the whole African-American community because of this. And as Markeisha said, nah, it's not us burning our stuff, which is big, because the first thing you think about it, you see us running around the streets, you're like, oh, this is what do we used to call that joint for Halloween around the way? What do we call it? Not trick or treat, because that's what it's called. What do we call that joint? You go around and just do all the dumb shit on Halloween. But it'll come to me in a second. But either way, you see that and you're like, oh, that's just a bunch of kids and stuff doing some foolishness and causing major destruction. And it's us doing it to our own community. And then Marquis says, no. They want you to think that. People are coming in, getting that insurance money, and they're already set up outside of the city, living great.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So I'm definitely interested in knowing more about that. But yeah, crazy times, man. But also, the Florida drug bust. I remember this. I had to rewind it because I didn't realize it was this much. I know it was a big bust, but 8,700 pounds of coke was raided in a factory in Florida, and started a drought within the area in the
Is that Little
mid-Atlantic.
Cocaine Cowboys?
I
Think so.
mean, everybody was affected in this time, so one way or another, they was nodded to it. There's also another whole other aspect to this story I know about too. About like while there's 87 in the factory, there's also a lot that never even made it to land.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So that's also an interesting story. So I like the history backdrop here. It makes you curious to say like, oh, 8,700 pounds of coke. I definitely need to know the story about how that happened and who really took an L here, or did they take an L? Because
or did it just magically go towards Nicaragua? We just don't know.
Anyway, Meech is with Monique, and obviously it's 1987 because one of my favorite songs of all time, "Make It Last Forever," is being played, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna make sure. I didn't realize that came out that year. Did you know that?
I was not listening to Make It Last Forever in 1987. Wow, I don't really want to. I was like a New Edition kid. I wouldn't listen.
For sure. Forever. I didn't know it came out that year. I like Make It Last Forever.
Oh, yeah, it was for sure in the 80s.
Yeah, I did not realize it came out that year. Whew. Yeah, definitely mint condition, New Edition, and yeah, about rolled those out, and TLC came along at some point and kind of rolled them out.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. Make It Last Forever. That's Keith Sweat, right?
Yeah. Took me.
This, thug. Yeah, this is for people that don't know Keith Sweat's history.
Yeah, no, they seen his verses. They know he about that.
Exactly. Life. Yeah, because Make It Last Forever could have meant multiple things with Keith Sweat.
Anywho, T he driving the whip, and he got Nicole in the car. He gets a flat tire, lose control. This is a very STARZ-ish action scene with the shot near the tire and swerving all around, bringing all the dramatics and whatnot. They nail these to a T. But with this happening, Nicole gets hurt. And obviously this brings a bit of urgency to everybody because one, Nicole is precious cargo. There's not a lot of money. So like if the vehicle's damaged, what happens to the business? Where will Charles' first level of attention go to? That's the first thing. I swear to God, I thought Charles was going to show up and say, "My car, no!" I swear he's just going to just carry Nicole, but he didn't. He did.
That's respectful.
I swear he was. Charles of last season would have did that. Charles, desperate Charles.
See, it wasn't Nicole I was worried about. I was worried about him coming there and say, "See, this is why you don't deal drugs." Like he's immediately, which he did. He's immediately going to go to that angle because it couldn't be for any other reason but that to him.
Yeah. I was like, okay. So yeah. Everything is handled pretty normally. I'm trying to remember. Is this a real scene? Did Nicole get hurt in a car or something like this? I don't know why this is like, I don't know. I mean, the last time Nicole was in the car last season, I think too, at a point.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think, did this really happen to her? Either way, not a big deal. Y'all can let me know in the comments. But we go to K9 in the gambling room. His sort of us getting a perspective into his establishment, but also him putting Meech onto game. And Meech listened to none of this because my man said, "I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do clubs. What I do for fun, I make money." Also in this room,
that part.
Yeah, complete opposite. He heard it. Yeah, well, true.
Just tried to do it a different way.
Yeah, no doubt. Sterling Black, the head of the PAs. Who is this? Is this a person? I'm not familiar. Anyway, was Sterling in the air in the back?
If it was, I wasn't gonna say nothing because they can keep on thinking I'm connected that way. You just be setting me up with these Burke ass questions.
I'm just saying.
Sterling Black, Sterling K. Brown. I know that guy.
I do know that guy. But yeah, Meech did say like, we got different rules. Like, yeah, we got other folks in here. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But and he stepped aside. Although somebody was cheating in his establishment, he let them handle it and stepped aside. So he's teaching them, how to operate family unity here. But anyway, he talks about his cousin James, in Cleveland who apparently got his stuff robbed.
Apparently.
Definitely, allegedly, yeah, because now there's word that he got a new whip. Yeah, the math ain't mathing on that one.
hey, the moment you said that, that's it. But again, this was a nice conversation between him and K9. It goes from him understanding truly what it means to your problems can't become mine. And K9 basically told him that when he said, man, I need to re-up because of what happened. Well, he just took an L. He said, come see me in a few weeks. And it was like, yeah, he's right. I can make so much more money now by holding back than flooding the street. Because the more I hold back, the more you're going to have to pay for what I got.
Yeah.
And again, supply met demand at that point in time. Again, with that much coke being taken away, everybody's squeezed at that point. And if everybody's squeezed and I got something, guess what, man? Yesterday's price today's price.
I knew that was coming. I saw that queued up. Oh man, yeah, pretty much. And I think the other thing is to understand too is this, that he mentioned that blood don't make you family, loyalty does. Damn sure, because you can definitely have some family. They ain't got a lick of loyalty in them. It's hard to even try to correlate the idea that y'all may share any bit of genetics. It's wild times in these worlds.
See my last comment as it pertains to family and people like that, or what I said. So yeah. Again, it's just another life lesson, which is so far that's what he gives Meech every time they meet. It's a lesson in something, or how to move or how to operate.
Yeah.
And you're wondering, is Meech picking up on everything he's saying?
Yeah.
Because some of these things are highly important to have.
Yep. So anyway, he says, listen, I will get you something, but you gotta do me a favor. You remember that loud motherfucker from the other night? Yeah, Travis, bring him to me alive. Keep this between us. What you thought about this, especially when he said keep it between us?
That it had nothing to do with business. Like that, it seemed too personal. Mm-hmm. One, if it had to do with business, you don't have to keep it between us. I could care less about that. Two, it was to bring him to me alive. When we've seen him literally, whenever someone's been disloyal, he kills them on the spot.
Yeah.
So here, and then to send Meech to do it when you have people that can do it for you. Again, that was another questionable thing.
Yep.
But again, that's why it clearly was a personal issue between them two. And even him not even promising Meech that Meech would get work from this. He said, you do this, then maybe I'll do something. And that again shows that it's not an urgent situation. It's just a situation that he saw the opportunity to have someone take care of something that he wanted to take care of.
Yep. So Charles and Terry talking about the car accident. He wanted to know, was somebody messing with the tires? And he said it's probably a devil's night prank. So, I mean, obviously we knew it wasn't. We already knew what this was loading up, but we'll talk about it in a minute.
Of course.
We get our first look at the infamous chart that's connecting everybody in the BMF system at the police station with the yawn and everything. And he's coming there and he said, no more 50 boys, no more 12th Street, BMF. BMF. They're pulling evidence real heavy in this joint and not giving us, and that's cool. I don't think we need the investigative side of this show. I think we want to focus on
we're not interested. This is not a show about the cops and how they broke the case. As much as they would love for this to be a show about the cops and how much they broke the case, this is not about them. This is about the family aspects of Meech and Terry. So we don't need to see the ins and outs and how you did this and how you flipped that person. I could care less about any of that.
Yep. Detective Jen says, why you always get a hard on whenever you talk about Moby Dick? That's just it, because he's obsessed, and he did mention what I figured he was going to mention. He's destroying our city, so I gotta take him down.
But we know that's not it, because he was helping him destroy the city. So, like we didn't forget his past actions here. We understand that's not it. It's that Meech brought heat down on you, and then Meech separated himself from Bryant. That's what caused the issue. Is when Meech separated himself from Bryant, Bryant feels betrayed. He feels jilted. He feels like when a woman's fed up, like one of them things. Like he's just so angry and so mad that he has to have Meech. Even when she brings up the analogy of Moby Dick, it didn't even click to him that she's basically saying, "You're going this hard for something you'll never get." like at the point he didn't know that Moby Dick, well, that Moby Dick was never captured is hilarious to me. It's literally the point of the entire story. He's like, nah, that can't be it. You tell me this guy went after this big fish all the time and never caught him? Exactly. you never do something that hard that long, and then when you don't get what you need, it drives you crazy. That's all it did. And she's seeing that same thing with Bryant now. Like, especially by the end of this episode, we see like he is so focused on just Meech. Nothing else around him mattered.
Yeah. Another week, another episode of Detective Bryant and his ignorance. Now he's getting exposed in literature. Oh boy.
Well, we already know he don't read. We saw what he treated his son with the comic books. To get those words out of here.
Anyway, B. Mickey and Meech talk about having to get Travis, and also Meech gets the news about Nicole getting hurt, and because somebody fucked up with the tires, and he immediately goes home. And Nicole, this is so funny. Nicole playing sick so she could stay home. Man, if that wasn't in your repertoire as a kid, you was an honest Abe.
Look, I've said on one of our shows before that I used to wake up at 3:00 in the morning and cut all the power off in the house so my mom's alarm clock would reset to 0. And I did it so many times, and she bought so many alarm clocks because she thought they were all going bad. But I knew how to get a day off from school if I needed one. You wake up too late, she'd be like, "Your ass might as well just stay home." Yep.
Oh man. Oh man. Thinking about all the times I was like, "Oh, get up for church," and then you'd be like, "All right, I get up," and then to stay real sleep and real stiff in the bed, because your parents ain't gonna check if you dead, because ain't nothing gonna stop them from getting the Lord's word. They be like, "Oh, well, he gotta stay home."
Also, yeah, your mama was nice. My mama could give a damn if you was sick. Alarm clocks didn't matter for the Lord. You go into the house, and Lord, no matter what, even if we get there late.
Oh no, there was no getting late. There was no that was right. That might be the most you got a better chance of being okay with getting spitted on than coming late to church. You ain't coming late to church.
I was in one of those progressive come as you are churches. Nigga, you can get up and go in your pajamas. Let's go. You put some shoes on.
My mom was one of those big hat ladies, man. She needs to sit in the third row of the pew, block everybody's shit. Yeah, don't get in there. Don't know the family no more because you got to sit with the other hat ladies. Like shit's just wild.
Yeah. See, lucky. I wish my mama was a health ministry helping out every day. So at that point, everybody at church know you. There's no excuses anymore. It's like, oh, he must have woke up late, huh? In your pajamas again.
Oh man, but yeah. So Nicole talking about playing sick to stay home, but this is when we get the line of saying like we arguing, fighting all the time because they started to fight about why you didn't tell me when it happened, etc., etc. But Nicole's like, don't do it again. But she's like, now we fight and argue our whole life, but no matter what, I got your back and I love y'all. And that's just again showing you all what we talked about last week, that whatever you see on screen with them not talking, beef and whatever, they got each other's back. That's set, and now it's verbally expressed, so that's what it is. So Terry goes to go see about goes again to file a claim now at the insurance place, and he doesn't have coverage for vandalism. I scratched my head here because I was like, you don't have vandalism coverage in Detroit?
I mean, he has liability. This nigga running around the city with multiple automobiles with liability insurance. Man, risky business there.
For real. But Yeah, she said, "Listen, I may be able to help you out, but she could potentially get fired or something like that." She can say like the tires were deflated, but can't
So
say they
David,
were
yeah.
bent. Yeah, so there's that. But he this is where he picks up the brochure, and she says, "Hey, the owner of the brochure definitely was mad that you messed with me." He's like, "Oh, dude with the scar." And this is where, going back to last week episode, dude that kind of walked up to her, and now he's connecting the dots like, "Oh, that's who messed up my tires." Like, he gonna play.
Yep.
He's like, "Yeah, Cleet." He was real mad. Cleet, in short for Cletus. Cletus
Clearly.
Barber. And Terry starts to go off, and this is Terry, with acting like a kid inside. She said, "Use your inside voice, man. You're not no kid. Don't act like no kid or whatever." But she humbled my man real quick, let him know like, you can't be acting like that, man. But I ain't gonna stop him for his plans he had later on. We go to the morgue now because Darnell Rollins, Creepazoid, is doing what he do best. Out here
fucking with their body.
Fucking with that, literally. And Lamar, like the Undertaker, arisens from the dead. And he said, "Give me your sweatpants, bro." Lamar said, this was got to be like the most weirdest like moment. Lamar looked down at him and said, "Yo, give me your gray sweatpants." I was like, "Oh, hell no. Nah. What the fuck is going on in there?" My man said, "Hey, bro, I need them gray sweatpants. I know you've been printing in them joints for about 2 weeks now, but I'm gonna need you to come up off the joints." But Tia and Marquisha go to dinner. She again putting him on the game, introducing him to Calamari.
Which is, I'm more amazed in the 80s. It's like, this was fancy. Because when she said, I'm like, you get calamari at a bar. Like, it's crazy. Granted, I'm vegan. I don't eat shit like that. But, like, I know calamari. And I'm like, well, again, in the 80s, I guess everything is new. So, and she said cultured, so it threw me off. It was like, oh, that shouldn't be cultured food. But
yeah,
I guess back then in the 80s, and just trying something new, trying something different, which is, again, something he's not getting from home.
Right.
It's like she's opening his eyes to different things. And, they say the quickest way to lose a man is have another woman show him things you ain't never shown him before.
Yeah, it's facts.
As the pastor later on tells Lucille. So, hey, it's the same lesson here.
Nah, for sure. And she said, "Yeah, how are you supposed to hang, man? You ain't gonna be adventurous." So there's that. And he asked if she happy, and she just completely deflected and said she don't got time to think about that. So I knew this was already foreshadowing their romantic moment that they were going to have. So we see Zoe, baby Zoe, at school. She looks across the street and she see gray sweatpants Lamar, because he completely roughed Alvin for his whole outfit. He said, "Give me no sweatpants, dog." It's okay. But yeah, so now Zoe tripping. She got to call mom and let her know, like, "I think I seen daddy."
In the Michael Myers treatment, the every horror movie treatment.
No doubt.
Where do they go when a bus just leaves? Because buses, it don't take that long for a bus to go. So if I see a person and then the bus drive by and they disappear, you're a witch, because that's humanly impossible. You ain't just run unless you grabbed onto the bus. You should still be there, or I should still see you running away.
They said that Leighton was like the boogeyman, and they definitely living up to the name now. My man, you said he hit the Michael Myers now, and shit, it is Devil's Night, so it makes sense that he would have risen from the dead. Like, come on now, look, what is this show? Is this a horror show or what? Because they're loading it all up
on screen
for sure.
All they're doing is missing my guy who controlled the Undertaker with the urn.
Oh, Paul Bearer.
Yeah, that's all they're missing. That's all they're missing.
Oh man.
If Lamar would have risen, they said, "My Undertaker." They're like, "Oh shit."
So B Mickey steps outside of the pool hall, and I laugh, so I can't even laugh no more about this, because this the funniest scene I've ever seen with these two. This motherfucker, Detective Brian, right there and lights up his cigarette for him. You've been ducking me. You gotta talk. So there's that again. But I mean, this is all about Detective Brian calling the play to get B Mickey to set Meech up for a deal. He got a plan setting into place, and this is just the first step of it. Meech goes to the tattoo place because he remembered the tattoo on his hand, so he goes to all the tattoo artists to remember the place got the tattoo, try to find Travis. Because Travis, I mean, yeah, I didn't know who this character was initially, but I was like, man, if there's some dude in the gang, he ain't gonna put a real address on his. There's no way, right? And sure enough, he got his whole address on that joint on the release thing. And dudes out here, wow.
I've
but
never even signed a release for something like that. Like,
you do sign waivers, but like you damn sure like your whole address and stuff. I don't know about that.
I didn't know. I got enough tattoos where I guess someone should have got me to sign a waiver. But I didn't get them in ways where waivers would be necessary.
Yeah. Oh, you got the jail tattoos. God.
I'm about to say, no, they're not prison tats. For anyone out there who heard that, and then all of a sudden, oh, yeah.
They're going to think you got, they said in the comments, show your neck. They see if you got the BMF tattoo over there. They said if you ain't there, blood in, blood out. So
hey, how about glory, Joe? You understand? We dropping brothers on fire hydrants here. Those games.
Yeah, so you get the address for Travis from the release form. Monique called because it says Zoe thinks he's seen Lamar. He said, nah, he dead. And he said, man, stop letting Zoe watch those scary movies. That's literally the first thing I figured he was going to say about that. So, but anyway, Terry runs into the Touch of Class car services to kind of to confront Cleet. Because he said he need to pay this invoice. Like, he fucked this up. He need to. And Terry, and Cleet comes out and let him know, like, nah, you need to be up out of here. What is interesting is all his staff members are black.
Every single one of them. That's what I said. Wow, okay. Wondering, and all of them came out in force when he was threatened.
I am very curious about that. Is this like a sense of like? Is this like a sense of them like saying like, oh nah, who do we side with? Is this a sense of their loyalty, or is this potential opportunity?
Cleet ain't the boss. Someone else the boss. Cleet is just the face.
Could be. Yeah, because why would the boss? I mean, unless you're like a super small business, but they're not because they're employed by. I think we've seen about 10 people. So yeah, why would you be?
Why would the boss be driving cars?
Makes sense. But yeah, he admit that he did the tires. So if he did the tires, he ain't the boss because boss ain't gonna do the hit.
Sure ain't. So I'm not working. I'm not doing that myself.
Detective Bryant now goes and shows about the bodies in containers here. The first thing I thought about this was Hurricane Katrina. I was just like, yeah, this is kind of sad because that's
COVID. Like, just
same.
Like same thing.
Yeah, so it just shows you that the drug epidemic in Detroit, they ran out of spots. So people are being put in containers out here. There's no room, no space for everybody. He said Kato's in one of these, which I was like, oh shit. And he gets the autopsy report to only find out that Kato was pregnant. And he said, oh, Kato ain't had no family. Oh, well, except for you, because you were the daddy of your unborn baby. So like, he's like, what family of yours will have you kill your baby mom and your unborn? So he says, get Meech to meet up for a new plug. And I mean, what they did good in this episode is what I asked for last week's episode. Now we get to see the emotional impact and toll on B Mickey from these things. So now we see like, oh, this completely fucked him up, like all the way. So this got him really rock bottom to a point that he says, all right, cool, I do what I got to do. You know what I mean? His mom is set. And now he's seeing the ramifications of what they're doing. I mean, at the point he's just kind of like, oh, well, it does show you that at a point he doesn't give a fuck. Like, all right, so everybody dying from this, I don't care. But once he brought up the kiddos in it, and once we said kiddo was pregnant, yikes.
Yeah. Because at first, when he sees all the bodies, it's like, ain't got nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
Which is true. It doesn't. It's part of the game. You accept that. But it is that personal relationship, especially with him finding out she was pregnant.
Yeah. So Meech now is in this obvious crack house because the shade of light, you know, it's always that gleaming orange little yellow light coming through the blinds, and it feels very deserted. It feels like you're in like Nevada, like deep. If not Nevada, you're on Mars. You're on one of them.
It feels like you're in the middle, and this is a show I never really watched, but I saw enough to know it. It feels like you're in The Walking Dead. It gives that same like aesthetic. The Walking Dead has the crackhead aesthetic to it.
Yeah.
And that's what it was like here as he walked up on one of the walkers with their child.
Yeah, so homegirl's in there, and it's like crack lady and her daughter. He's like, oh, well, when last time you fucking fed her? He's like, what? He's like, listen, she fine. Get me right, and I'll give you whatever you want. And she said, nah, fuck, I'll suck. It's whatever it is. She said, come get this pussy so she can get this hit. I gotta tell you, I've had very minimum interactions with a crackhead, but I don't even know how I could contain a straight face if that shit just happened on the regular. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Get your crazy ass. Guess I need to hang out at the metro stations more, because you them ain't crackheads. Them motherfuckers be off the dipper. Yeah,
buddy. Yeah, buddy. I'm about to say, yeah, it's the first time you hear it, it throws you off a little bit, like, huh? Come get this. Why would I want to do that? By the fifth or sixth time you hear it, it's all like, really, like, come on. You couldn't even think like it would be worth it. But I did like the way they transitioned that scene away from the silliness of her saying, come get this pussy, into him coming back. And then we seeing, like, I think it kind of goes away to show him how the community is being affected by what he's doing. Because then he realizes, hold up, I know you.
Yeah.
Like, you used to babysit me.
Yeah.
And now you got her strung out.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I thought immediately, I was like, oh, he knew he wasn't gonna get no information for her, so he leaves. But then again, like, he has the leverage because he has what she wants. He's the connect, and obviously you want to make sure the baby girl is good, and obviously the familiarity of her being his babysitter at the time, you know, hit a little nerve. All of it hit a little nerve.
If he wanted to make sure the baby was going to be fine, bringing the baby a Happy Meal and then leaving the baby with a crackhead may not have been the best action to take, because that baby gonna go hungry again, because she is focused on her crack and her crack only. But then I did love the way her and B Mickey connected, because that was, again, something with his mental state. Like, he's up there like really catering to this kid and not wanting to leave that kid in that situation.
Yeah. Life came full circle really quick. But yeah, the crackhead definitely said, you know, we all got choices. She's willing to live and die by hers. Are you? And that, yeah, like I said, struck a little nerve
just
with Meech.
Her more crack for the baby. They took the kid with no issue.
Yo, how much for that baby? How much for that baby? She probably would have asked
$50.
How much crack can I get for the baby?
That's the next question right there.
You know what? There you go.
Maybe an ounce. Maybe. Maybe less. Because, you know, yesterday's price is not today's price. If I come back, I get that baby for $5 worth of crack.
Crackhead Grace, man. She not doing as bad as Wanda, because, like, crackhead Grace at least was literate. Like, she knew what the fuck she was talking about. She definitely asked the very normal question of, well, how's the family doing? How's T and mom and dad doing? She definitely recognized them, which wasn't just like her trying to be familiar for the sake of getting something. She actually knew. So,
But Wanda cleaned up. Wanda got a job now. She running the business. Like,
that's right.
She came a long way.
That's right.
Now Franklin's ex-girlfriend now, that crackhead is a completely different issue.
Hey, stay tuned. Grace will be back season 3, flourishing. She's gonna be part of the Flannery family cars business
empire.
Yeah. she might throw it at Charles too, man, because we'll talk about
clearly
that.
Because we already knew that was going to happen. It was just a matter of time.
So after that, I literally said in my notes, like, yeah, we need some church in us, and here we go, right to church, because my man Charles is on the bass, playing out of the bass that was stored in the devil's safe box with all of his his fantasy women
paraphernalia. Paraphernalia.
And she all up in that church folk face, playing that good music in front of her, and he don't even realize he in the house of the Lord. And he does Lucille, because Lucille is definitely channeling some devil thoughts as she looks over at Charles, getting in groove, flirting with that other church folk lady over there. So, but yeah, she go to Uncle. She call her Uncle Stoop, Pastor Swift. Because she says she has doubts, and it ain't about God, it's about her husband there, and talked about the adult magazine and everything, and say every man has desires, you just gotta be more desirable. I was like, God, that's like not the worst advice I've ever heard in my life.
He gave her the absolute worst advice humanly possible. As he watched the fat ass walk out his church, he said, man get a little tempted. You just need to make yourself more desirable. Basically, he said, it's your fault. And you need to submit to your man. And when she said, I find it hard to submit, well, you better not. But I was like, damn.
Lucille, go ahead and get that Sears card and get that BBL. That's like you're a sure winner at that point.
hey, Lucille come back with a BBL. Everybody gonna be on her, Joe.
And honestly, she might actually try to do that. She might actually try to spice it up in the church a little bit and get all those other church heathens going after her.
Hey, that's what church is for.
Yeah.
I mean, besides the word, it's to pick up people.
Yeah, because the most honest people in the world are there. I mean, just look at that church that's in Brooklyn, New York. So, what could go wrong in that one? Just show up with your Gucci and all as well. That's it.
I'm still mad we met him at a power premiere. It's so wrong. And for him to have the biggest diamond chain on in a room full of people who could have it.
I don't know, man. Just wild. But you talked about Charles and Pastor Swift moment, threatening them and whatnot, which was hilarious. Good to see Snoop again. So the Flannery family business now. So obviously now we have concluded that it's not a prank. All the tires were slashed. Guy getting new tires. And then he starts to throw all this stuff at T. You need to be a real man, provide for your family, blah, 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 blah. And I'm thinking to myself like, hey, hold on. Is this the same person who took his son's
settlement money? They're still living off of T settlement money. And you telling me I need to be a real man to take care of I'm taking care of all y'all at this point. Like it's ridiculous the way he does this to Terry, and he only does it to Terry because he can't do it to Meech. It's like a guilt trip in a way.
Yeah.
And then you want to blame him for everything.
This is the accountability right now coming out of the men department is kind of wild. Pastor Swift telling Lucille the complete worst advice, and now you got this man just going off trying to provide whatever bit of intimidation, I guess, to Terry. It's just not making any sense here, sir. This whole business, this is my business right here. Like he literally did fund the whole thing.
Like you just completely live out. One, that y'all are not even 50-50 partners. Because Terry fronted all the money. It's
Oh
ridiculous
man.
here.
What a man of God.
But we did get a good scene with Denise. Am I saying her name right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I absolutely love that scene with her and Terry as they're talking about it. As she said, your dad's a nice guy, but he doesn't understand. You got to hit back. Like that's a great piece of advice. Again, that's why they say you don't mess with folk who work in auto shops because they crazy. They absolutely crazy. And they know 1,000,001 things to do to your automobile that will make it look like an accident.
Mm-hmm. Sure enough, did. So Lucille and Charles, he immediately leaves the shop to go home to say, I'm immediately leaving because I gotta go fix Mabel's fan. And you have the conversation about the embarrassment to Pastor Swift and his pride and all this other stuff. She says, listen, you fix our fan, you need to fix our damn walls. You ain't fixed these joints in years or whatever duration. Like, you need to come fix this right now. But I already knew, first of all, I already knew. I was like, there ain't no way. Ain't no way. This is he coming out hands clean on this one. But he tries to throw blame and saying, why would you tell a stranger this? Say it's man of God, and all this other stuff. And then he talks about he wants respect. She says he has to earn it, and so on. But yeah, he gets to Mabel's house, who is played by the lovely and our friend Christine Horn, who had hinted at us that she will be a part of this season. Then it officially got the casting announcement. I'm telling you, she is in the multiverse of madness because she's in all these shows. I mean, any show in this genre, she gonna get a booking. That's for sure. But she comes in and she makes sure that Charles ain't just putting that fan up. She wants to see what type of dance moves my man got. And Charles, he getting his little ego stroked here, and it didn't take him long to get up off that ladder because he was looking down at something real scrumptious, There
you go.
And my man,
ready when he got over there.
You right about that. My man is a what they call it, a mad bull right now, because my man is he's built up some tension for a while, and that argument that he just came from did not help any bit, but
not at all.
He escaped temptation, but will he do
for right
it again?
now?
Will he do it again?
You just wait till he break. It's gonna happen.
Put in your parlays right now. Will Charles make it?
Break?
Yep. How many episodes will Charles make it without infidelity? He is currently at 3. I do not like the odds of him making it past 4. Ain't happening.
Not a chance.
Ref stoppage is not happening. He would not make it out of round 4.
He went over there to fix a ceiling fan.
Mm-hmm.
And was doing everything but fixing the ceiling fan.
Mm-hmm. And you have to imagine, listen, Christine's a big sign in here. They ain't have her as some just random casting for her to just get her fan fixed and be out. Listen, and much like in Snowfall, she gets a small role. It easily becomes a fan favorite. They extend it, make her a regular, and you get to going. I could imagine that they already knew her work from that and all the other things, shit ton of things, shall I say? But particularly in the same genre, they already know, like, oh, we let her stretch her legs.
Stepmama.
Yeah.
I mean, you created a dad for the show. You could create a stepmama.
Yeah, he gonna start like at this point now. He gonna start like trying to fix everything. He gonna be like, I heard your sink got a leak. Like, this nigga a plumber? If you a plumber, then why the hell you out here driving cars? That shit. Your carpet. They're gonna be like,
he's clearly an electrician now because he fixes ceiling fans, and the ceiling fans in the 80s were highly unnecessarily complicated. So you can fix one of them, you can damn near fix everything. I'm just waiting for him to fix her VCR, because back in the day you had to fix them Jones all the time.
Yeah, you damn right about that. Oh man, but yeah, he gets a little dance moving. This man Charles, man, yep, he not making it out of the 4th round. Just rough stoppage. Gonna be man down. But Brian and Detective Jen, played by Kelly Hugh, This is a really amazing scene by Kelly, as Detective Jen spots a house on fire because Devil's Night. Everybody's outside doing what they do, but she hears a body. She hears potentially somebody inside the house, and she saves this person. And it's a moment because one, how it's shot and everything is really dope. But this led to a super powerful moment, yet revelation about her character, because there's a lot to balance here. I will talk about it in a second when we get there, but to be very clear, because I'm not one of ignorance here, I double checked. So last week episode, she was showing Detective Bryant like insight into the Chinese culture when she took him to Hot Pot. And she also then mentioned that half of her family is Vietnamese, and she's not Chinese and Vietnamese, so I'm guessing one of her parents must be either split, or this must be by means of war. And I don't know enough about the war in Vietnam to understand what this may have done to other Asian countries of Asian descent, and what the ramifications of it or whatnot. But so she is, I believe, I forgot that. Actually, do I still have it up? I believe it says that she's half Chinese and she's half. I'm about to just look it up real quick. No, she's not half Vietnamese. Let's look this up really, really quick to get this right about her. Right. Okay. So she is born and raised in Detroit's Chinatown. Okay. No. And she is a product of American dream shaped by her Chinese and Vietnamese immigrant parents. And she becomes the only immigrant parents, but unique because Jen becomes the only Asian American female detective in a murder capital in the world in the 80s. So there is that. Okay, so yeah. So she is half and half in there. I read it too fast. I thought they were saying that she was I don't know what I thought, but yeah. But so with that though, and I do know, I mean, obviously the war of Vietnam is the only war that America's lost, and that's always going to be something that we'll always
everybody remembers. And then the tragedy that caused afterwards, and the men who served over there, the issues they all had. I love the point where she's in a car, she's thinking about her brother and things of that. Like, you would have to understand just how horrible that war was and what it did to people for you to understand the power of that scene.
Yeah. We'll talk about a little bit of that, a little bit more about that in a second. So Terry and Denise, they broke into the shop, and they get to doing what they got to do.
Sugar in the tank. We knew that. Like, you got to do that. Everybody knows you got to put sugar in the gas tank. If you ain't never had a crazy girl attempt to put sugar in your gas tank, Lord knows the best invention in the world was the car that you had to press the button inside the car for the gas tank to open up.
Do you know what's even worse than sugar in the tank? I saw this on was it Mythbusters or something else? But mothballs is apparently even worse than that.
See?
Yeah, because it would not only, it's not the mixture of gasoline and sugar, but it actually can absorb gasoline and like oxidize it in a way that just makes it completely detrimental to the whole system. So yeah.
Nope.
Let me not get
women.
Yeah, women. Don't. This probably some motherfucking dudes.
If you driving in a car that still can just be manually opened up, you deserve to have that happen to you. Whatever year Nissan Maxima you driving, and you could do that, and that's your fault at this point. Like, you got to be more careful.
So B Mickey and Meech, they pull up to Travis' house, and they walking up, and they was like, oh, this man just out here with his blinds open, and he with a girl, and they go, oh, it's K9's girl, it's Peaches in there. And this random guy running around with a Molotov cocktail because his dad was nice. So this absolutely makes sense. Probably very, very factual here. But he said we don't want to kill him. We just need to take him. But they get in there, they shooting, they're constantly yelling out, I don't want to kill, but he's shooting and shooting and shooting, and he's killed. And then Peaches puts a gun to Meech's head, say, you don't want to do that. I'm here for K9. And she says, listen, this ain't gonna change shit. I'm gonna keep doing my thing. What's your thought about that?
The moment she said that, it confirmed my thoughts that that's the reason that he had Meech go there. Had nothing to do with anything else. It was because of her. What's the downfall of every man in every industry of life? A woman. Like it was clear. Like he was so focused on that. And when he told Meech from the beginning, like, hey, don't tell nobody else about this. You're doing this just for me. And I want him alive. Like those are signs of saying, I know what you. And then he asked him right when he pulls up, was he there by himself? So you already knew. I just wanted to know what gun did Travis have, because I swore it should only have 6 shots by the look of it, and I know he did the Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he got an extra 12 out of that 6-shooter.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. It's not even for debate there. We confirmed. definitely a chamber of 6 there.
Waiting for the gun to click, and when they kept on shooting, I said, "Oh, he put the infinite code in. He won't be able to shoot."
Yeah, a little bit of Fortnite going on in that house there. The wildness. But yeah. This is when he delivers the body to K9. K9 said my instructions were clear. I said, bring her to me alive. Basically, like, you shoot at me. What do you want me to do? And he said, listen, you didn't listen to me. You're not getting the weight. That's all it is there. But yeah, going back to Jen and the guy in the fire, the guy's a vet. She talks about, we get more about her background and her family escaping from Vietnam during the war. And then Jen is definitely going to do really well in Black Twitter this week because she made sure that she gave all of the love to the Black men and soldiers who fought that war and got no credit for it. What I mean, it's endless movies, but I feel like I just recently watched a movie that kind of focused on this. But then again,
too many movies with Vietnam in it, because that is not a war. Once you talk to people, or you have to deal with people, or unfortunately in my case, raised by people who served in Vietnam, man, it is not fun. It is not fun because shit can trigger and you don't know what that trigger is.
Yeah, and I mean that's the other part of this too, is the vet talking about he obviously he's a vet. Him getting out of a fire, that's nothing to him.
Nothing.
But he understanding that the PTSD is what immobilized him. He was getting the sounds and the crying and all this stuff, and he's being labeled as a baby killer, and you're hearing the people outside sort of like chanting around the house, and that left him immobile and whatnot. It's a sad thing because there's a lot of folks from that war, vets, still dealing with PTSD. And so on one coin you have that, but then in the other coin you have her and her PTSD. This self-inflicted pain that she's doing, rather, and this is burning, but folks do cutting and all these sorts of different things. Seeing her get into the car completely emotionally breaks down and then does this. It's a lot just to have to tell ignorant ass Brian, we don't pick and choose who we save. And he's just like,
yes, we do.
Yeah, we do. No, this is no. And it's sad because her being an Asian American woman and having the wherewithal of the future from this current time is just like, hey, I hate to even throw this out here, but Black Lives Matter. That's how she looked at it. They're like, you were ready to just write him off. This is your city. You was just ready to write him off and saying, what are we doing? This ain't our job. Is it? No, not at all. If we have an opportunity to do so, we're going to do it.
It's great foreshadowing for what we see last part of the episode, but it's also going to be a point of contention between them two.
For sure.
Like, that was and we needed to see that because beforehand we didn't see it. We talked about it last episode. They looked like they would be perfect partners up until this episode.
Yep. But I mean, obviously, being just being pro-black, I think that a character like this, I did not expect in this capacity, and not for this character to just be an ally, should I say? And they just like, oh, she's, out here chanting Black Lives Matter, but like, no, understanding that she also comes from a background, and I'm not gonna say similar to Black people, but she has a background in a story that is very inclusive, because being Asian American, and God knows, and saying she's the only Asian American detective in all of Detroit, but also thinking about all of the different bit of challenges from, her being, first of all, being Vietnamese in America. I mean, that, come on now. hard path there. Oh, then Chinese too, because also that, okay, cool, that's not going to help you.
Deal with the ignorance that most people couldn't tell you the difference.
Yeah, and then a woman. So like, you don't get a fair shake here. So like, you resonate with the discrimination that Black people and people of color, as she is a person of color, understanding that we are of one. We don't segregate. We try to unify, and be inclusive, and going forward. And I just think that how they just did this character in this way was just done really well. Like, quick backstory, a quick current context about something, and then a little bit of foreshadowing of where we think this character is going to go forward. It did it all in like 3 minutes, and now we emotionally can connect to a character. It's like, oh, this is actually like a person who ain't just some cop that's happy to have a job. Like, no, she's struggling, PTSD, struggling with just, and I'm sure we're going to get a lot more of it because we haven't really gotten it yet, but I'm sure she's going to get some moments on the force where she's treated in a negative light because of her background. So
I mean, Brian, but as this is the first episode, he wasn't blatantly racist to her.
Yeah, ignorant, but no, not racist. Three times ignorant, not knowing Moby Dick, because I don't know literature. Definitely saying we don't save everybody in our job. Super ignorant.
He all he wanted to say is Black lives don't matter.
Yeah, basically. And then my man Meech got shot, and he said put him in cuffs. Yeah, that I mean,
hey, that was a scene there, because that was a highly important one to show, because it had to be her to step in and say, calling it, put him in your car, we'll give you the escort. And for her to have to yell for him to even take the gun off of someone who's shot. But I think, I want to say in the documentary, Meech said that happened.
Yeah.
With a cop. Yeah. The cop still was like, nah, I'm not letting you up, even though he was the one who shot.
Yep. So anyway, going back before that, the Cleet driving his car late at night, because very foreshadowing. Brake line goes out. He starts swerving. He getting a little bit of action, much like Terry got in terms of the cinematography here. He avoids an accident because for whatever reason I thought I heard the car accelerate more, and I said, "Oh, that's not smart. Sorry, your brakes are gone." But I would love a little mini addition of speed in this. I would have been down for that. Like, run out the last 10 minutes.
If you go under about that, when people say your brakes are cut, if you just like took your foot off the gas, amazingly it's not gonna, or maybe you have an emergency brake. That's what they're kind of for. Like, it's, even though this is kind of 80s, I don't think they had emergency brakes.
I don't know. But yeah, they need to make it. They actually, we're outside of a period where we can get another speed and it'll be okay. Just straight up in the car or a bus.
On a bus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did Michael Bay do speed?
No, he did ambulance.
I know that, but yeah, wait, did he do speed?
No. Speed was way before Michael Bay.
Okay. Anywho, so Markeisha, Terry, after he done, beat homie up, he comes back because he's seen Markeisha car in the lot because he wants to flex. Of course, he's just pseudo stalking her. But he's like, yeah, we beat him, da. I saw you in a joint, so we wanted to kind of see what's up. He basically said, like, we handle it, so it's not gonna be a problem no more. And she drops her keys, she lifts her face, and she is bruised because her husband Boom gets mad like this all the time, and Boom was so Markeisha and Boom was both in season 1, but as I looked at the character description, Boom is Markeisha is now a season regular, and they mentioned the idea that she's this relationship is going to be trouble because obviously he got the kiss, the foreshadowing from earlier. He gets the kiss, but she's married, so not only is that just a problematic, but she is married and her husband is a powerful Detroit dealer. So we got another player in the game. Obviously, hasn't appeared yet, but has made a sort of an impact on the show. And the two of them are going to be trying to do their thing. And she got that because she's probably starting to feel seen and valuable to Terry. But obviously, escaping.
She tried to do what Lucille did to Russell, and it just didn't work out well for her.
Yeah. So we're gonna have to see what's up with Boom going forward as Markeisha and Terry got a little thing going. I don't blame him because what's the worst that could happen? Maybe she gets shot by Tasha in this again, or what? No, okay. Where's Cash? Okay, bet.
Cash is with the other child that Markeisha now has that we haven't seen yet. Oh shit!
There it is.
Hey man, Lala and kids in shows, they just never get a fair shake.
Not at all. So Zoe and her mother, you can't get enough of Cash Doll, can you?
Just look here. I said the best part about Lamar being back is that we get more Cash Doll. I'm all for it.
But somebody calls her phone and doesn't say anything, but then we hear the car skirting off outside and the candy that's left at the door, and Zoe's like, "Hey, it's not the candy Daddy gets you," and she goes into full panic mode, calls me because she knows that crazy motherfucker is out. And after he leaves her some candy, we know where Lamar goes next. But anyway, the BMF crew is outside of the iconic place coming out of BMF documentary episode 1 and 2. Episode 1 is where we kind of see the dramatization of it, and episode 2 is as they talked about the effects of it. But the Coney Island parking lot here, where Meech is shot by Lamar, chest, shoulder, and grazes the neck, which but this is before we actually get to that. Everyone's outside. Terry's there, B. Mickey, Rolly, and Meech, and they talk about, hey, we got this new plug. Did he say medical yayo?
Yeah. And he said, how did we get it? He said, man, B. Mickey set it up.
Yeah, and he said, oh, we on some rich white people shit. And for whatever reason, Terry just was instantly like, I'm gonna go inside and get some glizzies. As if he was
Terrell.
if he huh? No, Terry. If he
you said if he like iffy, and I said was Terrell. Terrell like would do something like that.
I was like, wait, what are you talking about? Oh yeah, Terrell. But like the idea that like it seems like this, like hearing all of this, like set the thought off in his head. Like he felt instantly like something eerie was going to happen. Like what do you think? Like was there something to make him feel like
he didn't believe him, and instead of him like interjecting and I don't believe him, he just stepped off. Like, oh, that's good. I'm going to go. Like it was one of them things where I don't need to know more because I would have more questions. Because again, Meech just trusts B. Mickey so much. But we know from Terry and B. Mickey's interaction, Terry always had more questions. Yeah. And Terry's probably questioning them like, who the hell is this person how are you getting this connect out the blue when you never had it before?
Yeah. Yep. So he steps inside and Meech gets in the car with Rolly and B Mickey's in front. B Mickey stops and it's just like, man, what this man doing? He's like, he's probably trying to set up some pussy. But we look across the street and we see the detectives, Jen and Brian, getting ready to execute
Follow
this
them to
little
the
trap.
spot.
Because
they were supposed to spot, if I'm not mistaken, they're supposed to follow them to the spot.
Yeah.
So that's why B Mickey stopped, because he started thinking about it, and then the phone call that we still don't know what it was for or who it was to, and then Lamar shows up.
Yeah. And so Lamar shows up in the Jeep. I don't know why they didn't give him a hot rod. They said he always drove. Leighton always drove. Muscle cars. I think they should have went with that route. He had his muscle car, but I think it easily could have did something for him there. But he pulls up in a Jeep, and gets the bussing, and that's where it happens. Meech gets shot. Terry comes out the joint. He's bloodied up. And Rolly's holding him. Terry is driving, and this man, Detective Brian, trying to make an arrest, and Jen is just like, "What are you doing? We gotta get him. We'll escort him." All this other stuff. It's just a crazy finale here. And again, if you haven't seen the BMF documentary, so the first time you're seeing this, you're probably at the edge of your seat, like, what is going on? This is a lot. But like, yeah, Lamar, the boogeyman, is back. But Lamar, inspired by Leighton, did this. And it's also just as crazy. So like, it's a lot. There's some other big moments that are coming, like the club. I'm waiting for to see how if they're gonna get to that. But there's a lot to really put into perspective there. But this is just crazy moment. But they got to get Meech to the hospital. As Terry is sitting here recounting, like, how do we get back into this scenario again? Because Terry was obviously, and again, it's always going to be a sense of danger for whatever they go through. And as Terry tries to live a normal life, he can't really get away from this shit one way or another. That's the episode. You got anything else that we haven't covered that you?
Not at all. This was a dope episode here for sure, though.
Yeah.
This one, again, lays everything out. I absolutely love a couple of scenes in here. I love that Snoop showed up back in here again. I love that he put Lucille in her place with the show, because that was hilarious to me. That he gave that advice to her. Oh man, I'm waiting to see more of Denise on how this business operates, especially with the way she does business. Like, I can see her being possibly, they make her a part of the actual BMF side of things, because she has a very serious way of handling business here. That's going to be very interesting to see.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Peaches was looking good, though. I don't know if that means anything, but shit. Just throw it out there.
Hey, look.
Just throw it out there in the show, right?
Hey, that's it. Man, I don't know. But Peaches looking good. I don't know what like ramifications come behind that, but
Yeah. It's definitely a lot. It's a lot that's going to go on here because, LaWanda.
I'm trying to find out what these hood ass chocolates that Lamar got her. Like, what the fuck is he?
Trash.
Those ain't the Canterbury bunny eggs, were they? That's what those look like.
Man, listen. Lot to go forward thinking about here. What's next for Meech after being shot? Where does Detective Bryant go from here now? Is he going to try to make an arrest or do anything while he's at the hospital? Where's the fallout between Detective Bryant and Detective Jen? LaWanda, and what's next for her and her daughter? And Terry, who's also now with Markeisha, who is married to Boom. There's a lot going on in K9, man. And the effects of the drought. Now that the drugs ain't moving like they used to move, what does the lifestyle change? Is there gonna be a new plug, or we just resume things after things start to resume back down south? It's a lot of little things going on here, but we'll see. But anyway, folks, y'all let us know in the comments y'all thoughts about tonight's episode, y'all favorite moments, y'all predictions going for all that other good stuff, and y'all know what it is. We back in each and every week with your review and recap show. Thank y'all for tuning in.